Welcome to Armchair Expert. I'm Dax Shepard. I'm joined by Maximus Mouse.
It's our last real Monday episode of 2020.
And you know what song would be appropriate right now?
What?
Well, one of his would be most appropriate, but it's beginning to look a lot like Christmas.
That's right.
Everywhere. Even as we sit in your living room right now in the shadow of a beautiful, noble fir.
I love it. It's my first real Christmas tree.
Elegantly decorated, very elegant. It looks like it could be in the window at Neiman Marcus.
Wow, thank you. It's kind of an OCD person's nightmare putting ornaments on a tree. Like all I see, like I need to move that toilet paper roll one.
Sure.
So that it's more spaced out. You know, it's tough.
You know what? I'm going to take a picture of this for the cherries in case they get curious what you find disagreeable. Is that all right?
Sure.
And now I'm going to zoom in on the toilet paper, okay?
Okay.
Because people might have a hard time finding that toilet paper.
That's my 2020 ornament.
Oh, that's a really smart one.
Thanks.
It was the year of toilet paper shortages.
It sure was.
I'll tell you who has no shortage of toilet paper or talent. Wasn't that a good segue?
Great. Ding, ding, ding.
Shawn Mendes. And it was so fun to have Shawn Mendes on because he's actually been an armchair from the jump.
So flattering.
It really is. And he is a Grammy-nominated multi-platinum singer and songwriter. You love Senorita. You love Treat You Better. You love There's Nothing Holding Me Back. And Wonder now. His fourth studio album, Wonder, is out right now. And a great documentary with the title In Wonder on Netflix. So check that out as well. And please enjoy Shawn Mendes.
He's an armchair expert. He's an armchair expert. He's an armchair expert.
Can you hear me?
Oh my God, can I hear you? What a silky voice right out of the gate.
Oh, man. You delivered already.
Interview's over. Good job, Shawn.
Thank you very much. Hold on. I'm setting up the recording. We're going to lose you for 1 second.
Okay. I've already begun recording, so
I know that.
don't double hit.
I won't.
Okay.
I can see
Okay.
with my eyes.
Wow, I'm shocked by that, to be honest with you. I was about to say you have good eyes, but you don't. You have terrible
I
eyes.
do, but I can see a bright red light that's
Which is not to
very
say that
close to me.
they're not aesthetically pleasing. They just are not functional.
Well, maybe you can only have one or the other.
What are you saying? That I can't see?
Uh-huh.
If you had to pick whether your eyes were
Aesthetic.
pretty or...
Hey, guys. I've always wanted to just be like so laid back like this. I've seen everyone look like they're relaxing so much during this podcast. I was so excited to like cross my legs in an interview. Isn't that
Yeah,
weird?
you've got a real vibe going on this morning. You look like you're in a grotto, and you look like you are also at Woodstock. You look very
Yeah.
cash.
Super cat. I mean, this is a big deal for me. I did Jimmy Fallon a couple weeks ago, and I'm more nervous for this because I realized that this is like, I really consume this content. I heard Hugh Jackman say that in a podcast once, and I was like, oh, I wonder if that's going to happen to me. And it is.
Well,
That's so flattering. My God.
And I'm not unaware of this. So I've known that you like the podcast. Your first one in, I think.
Early adopter?
Early adopter of the new technology. And somehow we got connected on Instagram, and I found it incredibly flattering that you liked it. And then I got really curious why you like it. I'm not mining for compliments, but you're a young man on the go. The world is your oyster. What on earth do you want to talk about? Failures and humility and fucking mental health. What? I'm really curious what appealed to you.
I mean, to be honest with you, like that's more on my mind than music and pop culture these days. I feel like I'm doing more for my mental health to stay above water than anything else in my life.
You know, I'm so much older than you, and I was really saddened when I watched the documentary last night to realize, I mean, really much older, but we see all this data about younger people having increased levels of anxiety, and it'd probably be hard to know if it's part of your generation or just your unique experience.
I think it's the generation and more so my unique experience. I'm also chasing anyone in an industry similar to mine. So when I started seeing you interviewing actors and talking about that type of pressure, I think the one that really got was Michael Pena. It was just his psyche before doing a movie.
Yeah.
The entertainment industry is just kind of crazy.
not knowing you and just watching the doc, I'd say that you guys are really similar in your approach. He and I are opposite, right? So I like being thrown in a very chaotic situation and trying to find my way out. And he is the ultimate rehearser, the ultimate preparer. And he wisely tries to control all the variables that are within his realm to downsize the anxiety about the performance. It seemed that that's your approach as well.
Yeah, but also that's a very controlling approach, and also sometimes leaves you with more anxiety than just trusting yourself. Like after listening to a bunch of your podcasts, I feel like you have this confidence, also this vulnerability, but this confidence that is kind of just there innately in what you do as an actor, no?
It depends. Some situations, yes, and then other ones, it scares me. But again, I've been at it for a while, and I got really excited to talk to you genuinely. I never give advice to anyone, but you're so empathetic in the documentary. You're just so fucking likable, and I see the many things you're wrestling with. And then so much of it is just, you're 22 years old. If you weren't wrestling with this stuff, something probably would be broken. But there's just a couple things I was watching where I was like, oh, I really am glad to have his ear, because there are a couple things, and you're already on the path. Like the doc starts with you walking down on stage. And by the way, we just interviewed a Formula One driver. This is the same for anyone in a high pressure situation, right? So the moment before the storm, there's so much going on. And you say, like, walking out in front of that many fans, you start with like ego to bolster yourself, right? Mm-hmm. Like you try to let those people inform you that, yeah, I'm the fucking man. I can do this, or these people wouldn't be here. And then what I love about you is you immediately admit the first note's always bad. Like that approach yields you not hitting the note. Oh my God. And then like 30 seconds later, you calm down. You remember you're just a dude who loves singing and performing. And then the thing takes off. And I found it so relatable. And I think so many people would relate to that.
You interviewed my performance coach, actually, Michael Gervais.
Oh.
I messaged you about that. I've been working with him for like a year and a half. And we, have been on this insane journey together. But the big thing for me was the signal to noise ratio. Basically talking about your why, your reason of doing something, and how that really controls how you're feeling at the moment. And during that doc was my first time playing with my perspective on what I was doing and why I was doing it. And before it was kind of just like bulldozing through, like they cheer, oh, that means you do good, like keep going. Like, and then at some point during that tour, I started to try and practice this thing of like, look, I'm under the stage. I'm about to walk on stage in front of 20,000 people. And I say to myself, you do this because you love it. You do this because you love to perform, not because you need praise. Like if you walk on the stage and they're silent, you're still going to have a great night. It didn't make me believe it at all.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I didn't believe that at all. But I started doing it every single night. And it really helped my attitude of being a little bit more carefree about how it went. I was connected to my why a little bit more. But I watched back the doc and I'm so different from then. And that was a year and a half now. At that point, I hadn't had more than 3 weeks off for 7 years. Since I was 15 years old, completely, absolutely nonstop. And then COVID happens and I'm put into my girlfriend's parents' house in Miami, and we're there for 3 months together, just like doing laundry and cooking food again. Feels like the first time in my entire life. And the last 7 years hit me and I'm like, oh my God, I haven't spent any time with my sister. She's 17 now. Who's this guy she's dating? I'm a horrible son. My mom doesn't even know like how I feel about certain things. And it was like this whole like thing, a couple of weeks of like extreme anxiety, and then starting to flow into more of a state of like, okay, I get it. Community and family time and the people around you, the people that care about you is the most important thing in the entire world. I hear the message loud and clear. Now it's about trying to figure out how to get that balance,
Yeah, in essence, you're really talking about identity, right? And so for 7 years, the number one thought when you think of who I am is I'm a performer who goes out and performs. And then when that goes away, you're really forced to go like, oh my goodness, well, what else am I? Because I haven't been watering many other plants out of necessity. And I have to imagine it's terrifying.
Yeah, and success is a funny thing to happen to anyone at any age, but I think, I don't know, I could be completely wrong, but I think maybe if I started now at 22, knowing myself a little bit better,
yeah,
I would be able to be like, hey, before a guy who has a few hit songs, you are a son and a brother and a friend, a good friend.
Yeah.
Just remember that.
Oh, for sure. Between 14 and 22 is when you like, I don't know, for me, I was going to be Jack Kerouac and I tried that for 6 months and I was like, oh, this is fun, but it's lonely. I don't think I want to be Jack Kerouac. Then I was like, oh, I'm really undereducated. I should go to college.
Yeah.
You know, I'm at college. Oh, I'm a Harley guy. I own a Harley. I'm going to join the Hells Angels. I mean, I had 23 pursuits before I ever had any success. And so by the time I had a little money, I think I had kind of honed in on what was maybe a more sustainable identity for myself. Although I don't think it ends. Yeah, you were robbed of that really fertile experimenting time.
Yeah, I still haven't done it. All I know is this is a very unique thing where I've been to like 3 high school parties in my life. I have so many thoughts about going to school and like, do I need to go learn how to play music? It's nonstop.
Well, you've certainly sold a ton of albums. I think you've sold 10 million albums or more, which is very rare these days. But even at that, your income is touring, right? That's your livelihood.
Totally. And brand campaigns and stuff like that.
Yeah. So there's got to be fear at the beginning of it. Also, maybe then some guilt that, oh my God, I'm really grateful for this. That's certainly what I've had, which is like, oh my God, I've been with my kids in this crazy amount of time for the last year that would have never happened without this. So I have all this gratitude and then I have guilt about having gratitude.
Isn't it weird, like how real relativity is? Our own experience is all we can ever know. At some point, hopefully, I want to go, if it's safe, travel somewhere and be there for a couple months to experience a different reality and understand and have some perspective of my life. Because when you have so much, you start to really just pick on things that other people would see as like, they're just not problems, you know? And inside of this pandemic, I knew a lot of really close people from home who were closing down businesses and their restaurants and stuff like that. And I was here like being like, oh, I'm so grateful for this time to just like stop. And it was just the opposite reality for so many people. And I realized how different my reality was, you know?
Yeah, but I think that's a really easy path to start feeling guilty. Look, everyone has problems. And there's a saying in AA, like if you put all your problems today in a box, if you were able to do that and you threw the box in the trash, in 2 days, do you think the box would be full again? It would be. That's human nature.
Totally.
So then you get into this thing where you feel guilty because I shouldn't have anxiety about this uncertain future because I have money and I'm comfortable. Well, that's just an unrealistic expectation for a human. You could fucking have $10 billion
100%.
and you still got to be a good boyfriend. You still got to be a good son. You're still going to worry about something. I think that's just the human condition. And then because you don't feel like you're allowed to have that experience, or it would be some sign of not being grateful for everything, it puts you in a very tricky trap that I think is what becomes really isolating about a life like yours.
Absolutely. And I mean, you can feel like the complex of like, I don't deserve this, and like go down that guilt thing forever and ever and ever. But then you just have to find a place of like, well, this is it. This is what I have and this is my life. And there is amazing things I can do with it, ways I can push this voice and the platform that I have to really make a difference. But it's really interesting being in the position that you are too, and understand is a position of real comfort in a time like this, you know?
Yeah, but I can at least speak to both sides. So often I'll post a picture of me in the sand dunes, right? And someone will write, it must be nice to be rich. And then, of course, I get really defensive. I will tell you this. I was broke for 10 years, and I've had money for the last 20 years.
Sure.
I have worried about money the same exact amount with none of it and a lot of it. So what that tells me is it really has nothing to do with the money. I have a fear of financial disaster. And it's exactly that. It's a fear. In fact, I maybe have worried about money more with it than when I didn't have it. So I luckily have had both perspectives where I'm like, oh no, this is just me.
Do you think that that has a lot to do with the culture of not just America, but the culture of Western society of like this constant need to be wanting more and not be content with what we have, or this constant fear of not being able to maintain?
Yeah. And by the way, that's the topic I kind of wanted to talk to you about, like on a personal level, which is we say I have a disease of more. So I want more of anything I want, and I want too much of everything that I want.
This is something I was actually talking to my girlfriend about last night because I'm from Canada and it's similar to America, but it is a different type of place. And then in Europe, in Portugal, where my father's from, in England, from a farm town, it's another type of culture. And in America, there is certainly this like hole that needs to be filled of like more and more and more and beyond means. And I also feel it too. I mean, for instance, like I released an album last night and the amount of urges I have to go online and check in hopes that it's more successful than my last and I'm getting more streams and there's more people excited about it is ridiculous. I mean, I've read enough of self-help books and done enough therapy sessions and enough work with people who can tell you that like happiness doesn't lie in that, but it almost feels like a conditioning of the society, you know?
Oh, I totally agree with you. First and foremost, yes, the United States is the least regulated capitalist experiment of all time. So
Right.
I definitely think when you look at what Europeans spend money on, say like a 3-week holiday, an experience, a meal, and I just am reminded of that bummer of a Cadillac advertisement like 4 years ago that they pulled where the guy was like basically saying, yeah, I don't see my family and I fucking sleep 4 hours a night, but I got this Cadillac. And I was like, oh my God, they said it exactly what they're selling us. Like, don't enjoy a fucking thing, just have all the stuff.
It's an obsession with more. And lately, I'm just constantly trying to wrangle that in and be on top of that because that is the main source of my anxiety and my fears. And it's this comparing thing and it's the conditioning of media that I think has taught me to believe that I need to be doing more and having more and getting more.
Well, the thing I really felt like I related to you a lot on was when you were talking about who you were going to be publicly. And if you were this certain person publicly, would you lose all of those fans? Would that result in people not being interested in you anymore? And I know that feeling so much, and specifically with this podcast, which is I can't explain why it works. I don't feel worthy of it working. And so for the first 2 years of it, all I thought about, and I'd even say it to Monica, like, I know it's going to drop off. I'd watch the numbers. It's too good to be true. It's going to drop off. It's going to drop off. And I really was ruining this amazing experience that I'm lucky to have. And you know what? I switched. And this was the one thing, the only piece of advice I was desperate to give you is I now go, oh yeah, if it collapses tomorrow, I still did this. Like it can't fail. It already happened. I'm trying to measure the success of it by what's happening in a week or 2 weeks, but that's just completely backwards. I already got to experience this amazing bolt of lightning and it's awesome. So if it ends tomorrow, it was 3 years I'm grateful to have had. And if it ends in 5 years, it's 5 years. So I really just switched what side of the equation I look at now.
When you were acting and directing, did you feel like you were in the game of trying to be in the top 10 of that game?
Well, great question. That was the other thing I was going to bring up to you about your shows. I was going to ask you if you had the choice to go out and do a show and you could feel that the audience thought it was lackluster, but it was the exact show you wanted to do and you sang exactly how you wanted to sing, which of those two outcomes would you pick? Or they thought it was the best show they've ever seen, but you personally didn't like it?
I grew up in a family that wasn't spiritual at all. There was no talk of religion or God or anything. And so kind of over the last couple of years, just learning everything I can about spirituality. And I have a real belief in the fact that if it is the most authentic, direct route to what I want, it would be the one that people would enjoy the most. That's like the irony of how the world works. But it also might just be a naive, childish way of seeing it. But I think if I don't see it that way, then I would choose the one that they want. And I don't want to choose that one.
That's a really honest answer.
Yeah.
Interestingly, the things that I had no control over, say parenthood or some other things I've been in that were really successful, the things I had control over, the 3 movies I've made, I actually made the exact movie I wanted to make. And America did not want to see that, or some section did, but not what I wanted, top 10, as you say. And so I really had to go like, well, what would I have rather had? It's a huge hit, but I didn't make the movie I wanted to make, or I made the thing I want to make and it didn't work. And so I'm very much of the opinion on my deathbed, I'm very happy it was this. Because I already have an imposter syndrome. If everyone loved it and I'm like, that was shit, boy, it would be even worse.
But also, we have to remember that Shawn is really young.
Mhm.
So for most of your life, social media has probably played a role. And you are conditioned, we're all conditioned, but I think the younger you are, probably the more intense it is, to be focused on numbers, to be focused on likes. Like our brains are now shifting into being numbers focused and always having numbers to look at and always having this comparison thing happening. Everyone is doing that. And so it's, I think, a harder battle.
Way harder for you. Yeah. Everything's quantified in your life. Views,
100%.
likes,
Exactly.
streams.
I often think about how like 30, 40 years ago, like there was only like celebrities who were famous and understood what it was to be famous. But now if you have Instagram, you understand in a smaller way what it is to be a celebrity, because this completely unrealistic expectation that everyone's chasing to put on Instagram, this is the really exhausting part. And this is like brutally honest. I never really talk about this because I have this horrible guilt and fear of ever sounding like I'm ungrateful for what I have and what I do.
Yeah.
And I am so grateful for it, and here I am. I'm defending it like I always do. But
Let me tell you something. It is abundantly clear you're grateful.
Yeah.
okay, thank you. And it's exhausting because this industry, I mean, everything demands effort to be great. You can't just like half-ass it and it comes out great. But the industry demands being on top of that numbers game and that numbers world. And not only on top of it, but understanding the game and the codes and how it's working and why it's working for some people. And it feels like even social media, to like the coloring or the stylistically framing of your photo, like it demands you to be on top of that to stay in the game. And I know it shouldn't maybe be talked about as a game, but it does genuinely feel like that sometimes. And it feels like you have two options. If you want to be able to detach, like for instance, if I want to say to myself, like, look, tomorrow, if it all went away, like I would be okay and happy. I'd have to work so hard to believe that. I would have to delete social media off my phone for years, at least. And anytime someone brought up Instagram, I'd have to ask them to stop talking.
Oh, yeah.
It's like an insane drug.
Well,
It
it's
is.
so interwoven as well with what you do. You know, I don't know if there's a lie I tell myself, but I do tell myself if I didn't have to promote things, I think I would leave it. Like it's part of my business to have an Instagram account. You know, this episode, I'll post a picture. And I do tell myself, but I don't know if it's a lie. It could be a lie, that if I had no business reasons for Instagram, I probably would quit.
I have deleted it. I've deleted it for like a month, and I felt better, but also there comes a point where you don't realize that there's any difference, because I think it's not necessarily social media. It's more of just the way we're looking at everything. It's like the same, everything is a comparison game and everything is a better than game. So whether it's Instagram or a conversation with a friend or a manager, it just feels like it's so woven into our culture to be thinking that way, if that makes sense.
Oh, yeah.
But although it doesn't make it better, that's for sure.
Yeah. Have you ever thought, like, okay, what if I didn't monitor any of this? And then at some point I said, I'd like to go on tour. Then someone would have to tell you, okay, well, we're playing this venue and not this arena. Or you have this budget for your next album and not this other budget. Having all the thoughts and anxiety about that inevitable outcome. What if you just unplugged, and then if that inevitable outcome happens, someone's going to tell you.
Mm-hmm.
You'll find out when you walk on stage and you're at a theater and not an arena.
Well, that's when you get real with yourself and you ask yourself why, and you keep coming back to that question of why. And to be honest with you, I still am unsure of my answer. And I don't know if that's just because I'm terrified, or it's because I have no perspective. You know, I think there's a lot of room in my heart and soul and mind that needs to be filled up with perspective and other types of lives and other people's realities to be able to understand how mine is existing in those, you know?
Have you figured out what country you're going to go to where people aren't going to know you for these experiences? I'm a little concerned about where you're going to be able to go.
I don't know. I spoke to Ed Sheeran, and he told me to take a year off after every album and tour. And I haven't done it ever. So He has like a whole routing for me. He's like, there's some places you can go in Asia where like you're good.
Yeah. I was walking through this jungle in northern Thailand once, and I was getting stopped because I was legitimately the first white person anyone had seen. They were like touching my skin and looking at my eyes, and I thought, there are places.
You're tall, right?
Yes, sir. Thanks for noticing. I noticed you're pretty tall from the documentary.
You got the long legs. You see that?
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
What height are you?
I think I'm like 6'2" or 6'3".
Oh, my God. That's exactly what
Wow.
I say. Somewhere between 6'2" and 3.
Oh, you too?
Yes. Now, do you just genetically have that sweet chassis, or are you a slave to the gym?
I'm a slave to the gym.
Ah,
I was since I was really young, but less every day. And I like free myself from like what I think I have to be. But the most mind-bending things I've ever done, I did a Calvin Klein campaign. When you do a Calvin Klein campaign, you really kind of have to be in shape.
Marky Mark set the bar high.
Set the bar high. And it was like one of the biggest cultural things of my career. And that moment was so hard for me because then I was like completely obsessed with not ever being anything less than that. And it was crazy for so long. But I mean, this is the good thing about Zoom is like it's all angles and no one can really tell what you look like anymore. So it's great.
Well, the good news is you're already confronting all the shit I didn't start even thinking about till 30s.
This career has brought a lot of anxiety and insane shit into my life that I have to work with on an everyday basis. But at the same time, it put me in touch with people who pushed me in a direction to confront this stuff at a young age. Yeah, I mean, everyone says that to me. Like, I didn't start thinking about this until I was in my 30s. And I'm like, holy shit, if I had to go through another 10 years of not healing this stuff, I don't know what I would become.
Have you recognized that this is why the road that you got on is littered with bodies from people who become addicts? Because it is such an isolating, bizarre experience. And so you either got to be A, miserable, B, get to work, or C, numb yourself.
It takes a lot of courage and it takes a lot of hard work and it takes discipline. And that's something I actually find naturally. Something I've always had is discipline in anything I do. So I found it easy to be disciplined with my mental health. But I can't imagine for people who struggle with discipline, I'd be finding ways to numb myself like that too.
I was relieved to hear you smoke pot. I hope you smoke
Yeah.
a good deal of pot.
Yeah, enough to get me through the year, I think, most years. But I have this whole belief of I have to be the absolute most incredible perfection of everything I do. And I treat like my mental health the same way.
Well, that's what's interesting. So all these things are double-sided swords, right? So I noticed you have a manifestation journal.
Yeah.
I was like, that's such a cool idea because it starts forcing you to take the littlest bit of control that you can. But then I also noticed the way you do it is you'll write, I will not blank, or I am going to this, but you'll do it like 100 times. And then I was like, he's a little OCD. And probably that's required to learn guitar, to sit there and practice endlessly and become good at it. So it's like all these things that are two-sided coins that you just have to learn to manage the downside and nurture the upside. And it's tricky. Would you say you're a little obsessive?
Extremely. I mean, I've calmed down a lot now. I've been on the last week of promo. It feels like in every interview, you just come up with almost an automated response. I hate that. I don't want to come up with automated responses, but you do regardless. So some version of an automated response. And I've been doing that for like a week, and now I'm sitting here and I'm like freely talking and I'm like, oh, I can just be like a human. And I'm like realizing something very honest and humbling. Over the last year, I really started to tap into a world of meditation and mindfulness and really setting myself free from expectations and gratitude, all the things. And the last couple of weeks, I've been like, I'm on top of this shit. And the ego is fading away quicker than I ever thought it was going to fade away. I don't even care anymore. Like, I could be living under a rock tomorrow. And then I get on this conversation and it's like, I'm completely full up with like, you have to say something that sounds profound. I'm just saying that because it's honest and it's what's happening.
Stay tuned for more Armchair Expert, if you dare.
And don't know if you heard my admission, but when we interviewed Bill Gates, my main goal was to try to not make him think I was smart. So I got home that day and I was like, just thinking, well, you did it. You did not try to make him think you were smart. And I was proud of myself. And I was like, look at what humility can yield. And then my very next thought was, I wonder if we'll win a Peabody Award for that interview. This is real time. I went from patting myself on the back from being humble to wondering if we were going to win a Peabody Award. I was like, at least I laughed at it immediately. I think when I was younger, I would have ran with that fantasy of what I would do with the Peabody. I'd start making a speech.
I take myself so serious all the time. I don't know who told me that I was like the lead actor in the movie Life, but I really believe that sometimes. And I'm like really taking myself so seriously and everything I say and everything I do. And so I don't know how many times a day I'm like, dude, you're fine. This is not as big of a deal as sometimes I think I make it out to be.
Have you gotten good insight or connection from different people? Like when you were touring with Taylor Swift, I saw her documentary and I was really impressed with how aware she seems to be of this duality of a public and personal persona and the needing the approval and all, and what a treadmill that is. Has anyone like really said something profound to you that you put in your back pocket?
I mean, I've always been young, like 17, 18, 19, so like a real child in an industry full of adults. And I'm not really sure if people thought that they should give me that honest human advice more than to give me the career advice.
Right.
I feel like I've gotten a lot of amazing advice on career, how to make that a bigger and better thing, but maybe not as much advice as I needed on how to just be human, if that makes sense.
Yeah, well, this year in quarantine, we just have interviewed so many humongous singers. And the story is just so uniform in the loneliness, the spike of everyone loves me, then back in a hotel room, and now I'm by myself. If all these people love me, why am I by myself? I mean, it's just so predictable. It's so clear that it's something that everyone's going to go through doing what you guys do.
It's interesting. There's a juxtaposition here because people feel connected over music at concerts. Everyone's there because they all love you. They all love like one singular thing. And music is a connecting device. It's this beautiful device, but the person making the music is actually outside of that. It's this bizarre thing where they're almost isolated while everyone else is connected. It's not really fair.
It's weird. It's certainly weird, and it always has been weird. So many musicians, it's the same story. You can go back to Elvis, and it's that isolation for so long and separation from kind of normal life. But I think I'm like on this pursuit of forcing it down. I don't even know if it ever is going to go, but I'm forcing it down to normal life to try and have them be aligned with each other and searching for other musicians and other people in industry who live that way.
I think you should seek Sting's counsel. I think Sting took the path that you're on.
I don't think I'm ready for his words yet because I've met him a couple times and he's got this it's like almost like he's scanning me spiritually.
Yes.
I felt him scan me, but that was like a couple years ago. So maybe if he scanned me today, I'd be ready for the words, but I wasn't.
Like Yoda.
Yeah.
Well, you never know anyone's real life, but it appears to me that he has figured out how to do the thing he loves to do without any desire of the approval related to it, and whether or not he's meeting your expectations. He seems to just be very centered in what his job is.
Yeah, I mean, he's a super spiritual guy too. I think that people who have a strong belief in a higher power can sink into that and dig their teeth into that as a stable thing. But I mean, the thing for me is like, it is a choice. I just don't really know what I want yet. I don't really know what it is that I want. And it all kind of stems from fear because I do know that I want to live a life where I'm not constantly chasing endorphins and little ego bumps. But at the same time, I don't know if I want to exactly slow down either. It's confusing.
Sure.
Yeah.
The stakes are huge.
Yeah.
They're enormous. I mean, half the girls you're talking to out front of your hotel, they're bawling. And I was like, wow, what an emotion to have to see, somehow meet.
I had this crazy absurd rule. And my rule was for like 5 years is if there's anybody ever asking me for a photo, I take a photo. So I'm not kidding. I was in England and this was last tour or the tour before. Last tour I slowed this down a lot. But 2,000 people outside my hotel. I lined them all up down the street and I took a photo with every single one of those 2,000 people. And halfway through, I'm just like basically doing this. Yep. Hey, yep. You know, it's like, there's nothing human about that. It's like I'm an autopilot robot. To be able to say that I do that, to be able to say that I take a photo with everybody, or to be able to show the fans that I love them. And I realize if I can just like spend 30 seconds talking to a couple girls outside the hotel and maybe really kind of say something genuinely and connect with them, I mean, you can feel it in your heart, the frequency of like what that means compared to taking 2,000 selfies. It's a different world.
Well, you have limits as an actual human being. You have a capacity. So it's 2,000 pictures. At some point, you kind of are clicking into survival mode, which is like, I don't know if I have the stamina for this if we don't pick up the pace. Like, I might have to bail out of this.
And I couldn't bail out because I set these crazy standards to like always take every single photo that was asked of me. So, and thinking back, I did a lot of really crazy, weird things like that I think sometimes were just driven by the fact that I wanted to be able to say that. Because then I'd get an interview and they'd be like, you're different than every other artist. And they would say, you take photos with every single person. Why do you do that? And I would be like, like you just got to take photos with everyone. But like if you were actually there in person, you'd see me as a robot going down the line, where maybe it would have just been so much nicer to just like spend 5 minutes trying to communicate and talk. So I try and do that a little more now. It's a phenomena and it always will be. And it's super weird. And I don't think we're ever going to really understand that type of thing. But I really think that giving a couple people some authentic heart to heart is so much more impactful than a ton of people like a smile or a wave or like an eye contact. That's when it starts to become another job.
Yeah. Okay, I have a question. There's a mystery in the documentary, and I doubt you're going to tell me the answer, but you've come home from tour. You haven't been to your apartment in Toronto for, I guess, 6 months. And as you walk in, you're being followed by the film crew. And then you immediately snatched something off your piano and you went and hid it in a closet. And I caught you. And then an alarm went off. And then you were kind of freed from having to explain what just happened. But I caught you. What was it?
You're not the first to catch me. I think every single person has asked me what that photo was.
Shit, I'm not so unique.
My girlfriend and I posted a video of us. We might have had a little too much tequila one night and just like recorded ourselves making out like as though we were like just monsters. To get a rise out of people. I think it would just felt like everyone was just talking about it and taking photos, and there's paparazzi hiding in bushes, and it was like, what if we just post a photo of us like licking each other's face? Like no one's even ever seen us kiss. Like we're just gonna go full on like gross. And people were so offended by it and so excited by it too. It was like this really intense thing. Because I was getting messages from people being like, that's the funniest thing I've ever seen. And other people being like, you should really take that down. I don't know. That's kind of offensive. And I was like,
put me in the excited camp.
Yeah, same. Me too.
Real.
And Monica too.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous. But at the time, it was relevant. And my nan in England, who's in her 60s, I don't even think she knew what the photo was from. She framed the photo from that video and put it in a little Happy New Year's thing and sent it to me. And it was on top of the piano. And my fear just took over. And I was like, I gotta get this out of here. So that's what it was.
What a great Nan.
So Nan's in the excited category too. I'm glad to join her there.
I think most people are in the excited category. I just think the exciteds are a little less loud than the offended sometimes.
Yeah. Well, it's like I always say, when's the last time you asked for the manager at a restaurant to go, hey, just want to let you know this fucking meal was dynamite and the service was spectacular. But if I find a fucking glove or a fingernail, I'm talking to that manager.
Every single time. I don't think I've ever done that, to be honest.
Can I tell you a funny story?
Tell me.
I was younger and we went to Big Boys. I'm from Michigan. I noticed at your early shows, the big travelers that had saw you were from Michigan. I was proud of that. We're at a Big Boys restaurant. There's a salad bar. My mom gets a bowl of soup. She finds in the soup a condom, an unfurled condom. And my mother, in her brilliance, asked to see the manager. And the manager came over and she said, I have good news and I have bad news. The good news is your employees are practicing safe sex. The bad news is they're having sex with the soup.
Oh my God. Where were you in Michigan?
It was a Big Boy in Milford, Michigan, and I was
That's
an employee
gnarly.
there at one point.
You were an employee there. Wow.
Not at the time of the condom fiasco, but yeah.
Your mom wouldn't known it was you if you had
That's
been
true.
working.
She would have just told
Yeah.
me not to put condoms in the soup.
Wow, I guess you really did rough it at some point. That's gross. You know what was a really cool podcast to listen to way back was with Mila Kunis and Ashton.
Oh, uh-huh.
Separately, but I do this thing where I like desperately reach out to any celebrity who I like think has figured out how to be a celebrity and be normal at the same time. So
Yeah.
I did the same with Matthew McConaughey too, and I ended up just getting in touch with Ashton and Mila Kunis, and I listened to both of their podcasts. I'm starting to realize a pattern, and also I think that's why I probably got addicted to your podcast, was because I was like searching for these people who really had this like grounded reality of being a celebrity. Ashton's been such an amazing person to me now over the last couple of years, and reached out, and Mila's also been so kind and stuff. But yeah, that's because of you, man.
Oh, man, that makes me so happy. Yeah, they're both delightful. That brings me to one of my questions. I think those two benefit from each other, both being on a similar level of fame. And I will say that I have benefited from when I work with my wife, because she keeps me from being bratty. She's like, it's no big deal. Like, if I'm on my own, I could start thinking it's a big deal. I do the thing I do. But when she's there, she's like, what are you talking about? Do it 5 more times. What do you care? And I wondered if having Camila around, when I would watch you guys on stage and stuff, I thought, is that a good force where it's like, you can't buy into your hyper uniqueness all that much because your partner does the same fucking thing and it's not that big of a deal?
I mean, that is the conversation. Our constant is, sorry, I'm taking myself a little too serious right now. Sorry, my ego. It's like, that's our conversation to each other. We're constantly apologizing for being like, oh shit, I realize the ego is getting involved. And I'm like, I'm thinking I'm a superstar right now. But it's fine. I can totally do this. It's no big deal. I'm like, I'm unhappy about the lighting to do a liner for your cousin. But it's like, oh, this is not a big deal. But we both struggle with that. And I think we're both really kind of settle each other down to a place of humility for that reason. Like the second she gets on stage, it's like, you can't really hide, which is great. It ends up making the performance better all the time.
Yeah. It's really fun to see you guys out there together. I have to imagine you didn't date a ton as a non-famous person. And so you're kind of entering your dating life as already someone famous. And I was wondering, did you have any fear that you wouldn't be interesting enough off stage for anyone?
No, I actually have always really liked myself.
Oh, good.
I mean, I've had a lot of insane insecurities, but I think my insecurities had more to do with my craft and my career than my humanness. I always felt like if I could walk into a room and be there in front of the person, I would be able to pull off anything, because it's just like, that's the default, that's the human. And that was really good for me. The hard part about dating Camila was only after 5 or 6 months being able to even sing a small lullaby around her, because I didn't want her to hear me sound bad. And it was exhausting. It was exhausting. I couldn't even do vocal warm-ups around her or anything because I was so terrified of not sounding like I was on a perfect auto-tuned human being.
But that's ironic, because isn't that kind of how you guys started getting romantically involved? Is she came into your dressing room while you're at some Taylor Swift show and you guys just sat down and wrote a song together?
Absolutely. But can I be completely honest? I have a mental block on the first 4 years of my career, and it's weird. And I can't explain why, but it's almost like the only things I can remember are the things that everyone has talked about, like that.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know if it's because media has repeated it and so many times that it's just like, it's creating copies of it and pasting it in my mind, and it's removing the actual memories.
Yeah. I think I have memories of things, and then I go home to my mom's and I'll look through a photo album and I go, oh, no. I just remember that picture. I thought I had my own mental image of my brother and I sitting on the couch. And no, I just remember that picture.
Yeah,
and so much of your life has been documented. Who fucking knows what's a memory and what's that?
Sometimes not even true. Sometimes I think things happen that were just once a myth that people were talking about. And I really believe that happened. It's weird.
Oh, man. This is fascinating.
Yeah, it is.
I'm fascinated by you.
I'm fascinated by that too, actually. I have this really odd mental block on that first 4 or 5 years of my career.
Now, I think you were in a very tough position. There were all these rumors about you being gay early on. And I remember thinking, oh, you're in this impossible situation, because if you want to come out and go, I'm not gay, it has some weird veil of homophobia, which I'm certain you're not homophobic. And so I guess if I were you, I'd want to go like, hey, I'd be happy to be gay. I don't mind being gay. I happen to not be gay. It just seems like a weird position to be in.
Yeah. It was also so frustrating for me because there's some people in my life like I was very, very close to who were gay and in the closet. And I felt like this real anger for those people. I don't know. I mean, it's such a tricky thing. You're right. You want to say like, I'm not gay, but it would be fine if I was gay. But and also like, I have nothing wrong with being gay, but I'm not, like you don't really know how to respond to the situation.
Yeah.
So it's like it's a trap.
I've realized that we just have to stop having to be experts and like politicians about it, especially like as a famous musician who's a guy. Like I need to like be really fucking messy and say the wrong things and apologize and say the right thing after I apologize and like be confused about how to respond when people say I'm gay and like, no, everyone's calling me gay since I was 15 years old and I'm not gay. And I'm like, well, what does that mean? And I had these problems with the way my voice sounded. I'm like, how do I sit? Like I'm always first to cross my legs and sit with like a position of this feminine type of style. And I really suffered with that shit. But it kind of just like ended up becoming something that I wanted to just be really open about and really honest about too, because I think a lot of guys go through that. And even worse than that, there's just so many guys who are gay and in the closet and must be hearing shit like that, just being like, I'm terrified to come out.
Oh my God, yes. There's definitely two obvious reasons, I guess, that gets rumored is like generally if there's a beautiful dude who doesn't have a girlfriend around him at all times.
Sure.
That's one reason people go like, well, something doesn't smell right here. Or another reason would be the one, I guess, is the one you were nervous about was that you were somehow not acting manly or masculine or straight or something. You had to start thinking about how you moved.
I grew up, all my cousins were girls and I didn't grow up wrestling. I grew up like getting my hair braided on New Year's Eve. It just completely depends on the way you grew up in your life and your surroundings. Then came a point where I just started to be like, hell yeah, I've got that divine middle ground, that like Freddie Mercury, I'm going right there. But then I'm also not there either. I'm totally not there. I'm still a little bit more manly than that. So I don't know. It's all a little confusing. So I'm just going to let it be what it is.
Well, you're definitely on the generation. It's like an interesting time to be who you are because we're on this cusp of like a lot of these things breaking down for the better, I think, to take the shackles off men and if they should be emotional or they should be scared or weak or strong, all these things. And you're kind of at that moment. I think you're one of the people that will pave the road for other people. I even think about it in a much simpler way. I was watching your documentary and all your childhood friends show up. And this feels weird to say, but the first thing I thought was like, you got a Desi friend, you got a black friend, you got a redheaded white friend. Even that's different from when I was a kid and you saw rock stars. Like they all looked alike, they were all this, and already that's different.
Yeah, that's my reality of where I grew up in Canada. It's a complete melting pot of so many cultures, and like that is my reality. It's also a fine line to balance too, because I think people are really quick to just say like, oh, well, he's an artist, so he gets a pass to be vulnerable and a pass to cry, but like most men shouldn't. Guys need to just be vulnerable. We need to cry. Stop thinking this is being brave and strong and start thinking it's the opposite, actually. We're holding in these emotions and not crying and being assholes. Nothing about that is nice.
I admire you. You're evolved male 2.0, but I had to go like ride wheelies on motorcycles and stuff. I had to do so much, quote, masculine shit so that I felt like I could get away with all my female emotional side publicly. I felt like I had to be doing both.
And it's not anyone's fault, though. It has so much to do with the way media has portrayed men and the way media puts men in movies. I also think like there's an aspect to it of the way women want their men to be. And I definitely know relationships of friends of mine who are like, oh, my girlfriend doesn't want me to just like tell her how I feel and cry and stuff around her. Like, I got to be strong for her. I'm in a relationship with my girlfriend's like, we're going to get in bed and you're going to put your head on my chest and you're going to cry into my chest and you're going to tell me how you feel, because if you don't do that, you're just going to be an asshole for the next week. And I'm not going to deal with that shit. So I'm just lucky to be in a relationship that's for it.
Yeah. It makes me think of this funny Onion article I read 2 weeks ago, and it was like, weak, effeminate man decides to cry for 2 minutes in his bedroom instead of telling his son to shut the fuck up. And I thought, oh, this is so fantastic. Yeah, like, what if that was the response to your frustration to your kids? Is to like go, fuck, this is hard. I'm going to go cry for 2 minutes in my room because it's so brutal. But no, you're like, I got to control these little shits. I got to, be the captain of the ship. What a world that would be.
Also, I think something that needs to be talked about too is like there is a natural feeling of how to be masculine as a man. Like you just ooze some sort of masculine thing, but it doesn't mean that that's what it has to be all the time. But you can't be afraid of either. I think it's the allowing of whatever's coming up to come. It's all courage. It's complete courage. You are right, though. We're on a cusp. In like 20 years, I can't imagine like what it's going to be like. Because I already think in like 2 years, it's like a different world.
Oh, I totally agree. I had one creative question for you. Well, two things. One is I really like, again, something that took me, 32 years to figure out, which is to give myself permission to be shitty at writing. I found that when I sit down to write a script, it has to be great. So I just don't start because I'm afraid, of course, it's not going to be great. So just learning to tell myself like, hey, write something shitty. You're allowed to do that. It sounds like you've embraced that concept when you're writing.
Ed Sheeran told me this concept. To get to the clear water, you have to open the faucet and let all the dirty water pour out. And I always felt that was so much more easy to digest than write something shitty and be okay with it. It was like, no, there's only one out. You can't just get to the clean water. So you got to like let it almost vomit out. I will say though, for me, it's not about writing something shitty as much as it's about just like writing something and then that is what it is, and freeing myself from the expectations of what it's going to be really, really freed me up over the last year.
Well, in my experience, I permit myself to write something shitty, and guess what? I don't ever really write anything.
You don't write
shitty.
anything
I just
shitty,
go like,
yeah.
Just start. It can be shitty. You'll rewrite tomorrow and you'll fix it. And then the only real hurdle in my life is just my fear of being shitty.
Absolutely. I mean, that's the constant. And that was what I used to get confused about, because it's like, I don't really ever actually want to write something shitty. Can't I just like write something like and try for it not to be shitty? And that's why the faucet thing always helped me.
Yeah. You're not giving yourself permission to put out something shitty.
Yeah,
that's like
exactly. That's a whole different thing. Yeah.
Stay tuned for more Armchair Expert, if you dare.
How do you channel the devastatingly in love vibe on every album? How is that sustainable? I was really curious about that because I've certainly fallen in love a handful of times, but it's sporadic, and I don't know if it's because you're still young that's really accessible, but is that hard or not?
That's because I was never in love all those times I wrote about it. I think the only time I've ever really wrote about being in love is this time, and I'm not devastatingly writing about it anymore. It's a much more subtle approach to writing about love this time around. But yeah, in the past, I would hear the smallest little thing and it would set me off to write a song that was like, you're ripping my heart to the floor and I'm going to absolutely die if you don't text me back. But I was never in love before. That was just me dramatizing anything I've ever heard about love.
Yeah. Well, on Wonder and in the movie that you're writing that song with very cool lyrics about wanting to go to sleep, to get in bed, to rush to bed. I'm not with you. I want to think about you and count backwards from 100. And I was like, oh, yeah, I've felt that. But boy, I couldn't be required to feel that every album.
There is a world that you tap into. Love and hate and darkness and happiness, like the extremes are like so entertaining and so fun to talk about and to listen to. So when you walk into a studio, it's like you walk through a door that's like, you're going to be dramatic today. You're about to be dramatic, just like accept it, So I think I was like 15 when I really started writing. So it's just become a part of a process that I haven't even thought about actually until asked about it, because it just feels like it is how I do it,
Yeah. And Jeff, what's Jeff's last name?
Jeff Warburton.
You guys write a lot together, is that right?
Yeah. You know what? Jeff was one of my best friends from home, older brother, and he kind of taught me how to play guitar. I was about to go out and to do promo, but my parents couldn't leave because my sister was young and they were working. So he kind of became my...
Your guardian?
Guardian, yeah. And it was so funny because he was hired as a guardian, but then he was also teaching me how to play guitar. And we were just writing songs together in hotel rooms. And that was how that relationship started.
When I see you on stage, it looks cool, but it doesn't look like a life experience I'll think about. But when I see you in the studio, I'm very jealous of those moments where it's like you throw a little bit of paint on and then the other person throws a little bit of paint on and then all of a sudden this thing just catches fire. Like that has to be a euphoric, zen-like flow experience.
It is, as long as you can remember that it comes when it comes and you don't spend all the time when it's not coming exhausted from stress about the fact that you don't have a song yet. You can really thrive and enjoy those experiences. You just like sit in a living room talking about things and kind of playing some chords and kind of singing some things, and then something kind of sticks, and then, like you said, it catches on fire, and next thing you know, you have a song.
Well, I think it's a really like outward display of vulnerability because you don't know it yet, right? Like when you go on stage, you're going to play the whatever 18 songs that you know those fucking people are going to love. Whereas when you strum a new chord and then try a new lyric, it's like it could be terrible.
For me, I cannot write trying to write something that people will like. I can't. I have to write trying to be cool. If that sounds so ridiculous, but I mean, I have to write trying to be more interesting than I have in the past. So it's like a weirder chord or a weirder sentiment or weirder words I haven't used before, a different type of key. Like that's what triggers my creative sense. If I go into like I have to beat the next song, I'll make the worst song.
Well, so then what's the dynamic when you collaborate with some of these bigger artists? Like you and Justin Bieber did a song together. Does it elicit a lot of fears like, oh, I'm not good enough to be here with him, or now I'm going to be shitty on this?
Yeah, totally. I mean, I was so exhausted by the end trying to just cut a couple vocals on that song after he laid his verse down. I just didn't even know who I was anymore. I was in the studio for 3 hours cutting vocals, and I walked out of it like a spinning mess of who I was, comparing myself to him. And he's so like gracious and so kind. And this is something I keep learning over and over again. But we were on the video shoot and I come into the room and I'm like, if the camera's rolling, I have to actually sing. Otherwise, it doesn't look like I'm emoting. I'm going to sound like shit. Like I'm not the best if I don't practice. And he was like, I feel really intimidated and really nervous in front of you actually right now. So like we both had this real moment of like such human interaction that it really freed us to move forward together. But that is rare. That doesn't always happen. I mean, that happens actually 1% of the time.
That is beautiful. You guys both just were humble.
Yeah. Some people you cross in life, you just can't really bullshit.
Well, you guys seem like drastically different people, but at the same time, there's so much similar stuff. I mean, you both being from Canada and being very young phenoms.
I think we share a lot of similar trauma, being young celebrities. And I think Camila actually and I share the same thing. It's kind of like in Harry Potter, like when Ron and Hermione end up falling in love. What?
Monica's favorite thing in the world is Harry Potter.
Oh,
so
don't get me started. It's my absolute favorite thing in the whole entire world. It's the reason I ever thought of anything cool ever.
That's so good. Are you a Gryffindor? No, I bet you're a Ravenclaw.
I feel like a Hufflepuff, actually.
No. No.
I have no idea what you guys are saying. I love it. What's a Hufflepuff?
It's one of the 4 houses, and it's generally considered to be like the do-do-do house.
Like the dum-dums or the rejects?
Not dum-dums and not
Just
rejects.
happy-go-lucky kind of. Maybe I'm not. Actually, you're right. Maybe I'm more of a Ravenclaw, more anxious and neurotic.
I think so. I think so. And I think I am too.
Monica just took a personality test yesterday on air, and she got a 1 out of 100 for emotional stability. So she's really kind of reeling right now still from that.
Did that actually really affect you?
Yeah, more than it should have. I just was
Really?
really surprised by that number. My identity was shattered a little bit. I had therapy the next day. We talked about it. The more interesting part was my reaction, obviously, that I cared that I'm not stable in that way. Also, I think that was misleading. I think I'm a little more stable than 1%, but, you know, I guess I value that more than I thought.
Have you been sitting there today like being like, I got to be more emotionally in touch today?
No, that's the opposite.
No, she's just more stable.
Stable.
I'm too emotionally in touch, I suppose. Or it's just a roller coaster.
Who creates those things? Who's the professional that decides?
Well, there's the big 5 personality traits, and we decided to take the test, and it'll tell you if you're an extrovert, if you're disagreeable, your emotional
Right.
stability, your
Openness to experience. and
It's a good test. It's like fundamental fun things. But what I enjoyed about it is I could so relate to Monica. She got her score. I saw the look on her face, and I could tell in her mind she somehow was evaluating like, oh God, what does Dax now think of me?
Well, I said that after. I said, I think you're going to use this against me.
Which is comical because I just think what I think about Monica. It really wouldn't matter what some test said. I already think what I think about Monica.
Did you already think she was emotionally unstable before that?
Yes, and I love her for it.
Yes, exactly. That's the point. That's the interesting thing is like, I don't think we even realize why people like us. I don't even know like why people like me sometimes. I think they like me for other reasons and it's just not the case. We love you because you're emotionally unstable.
Well, I think we all spend a lot of time trying to figure out what other people like about us, and we don't spend a ton of time figuring out what we like about ourselves.
Oh my God. Something that really stuck with me was this realization of like these grooves in our mind. And if we have these deep grooves of self-whipping and not meeting our own expectations, and you fucked that up, you didn't do that good enough, you weren't whatever, that groove gets so deep. And I feel like we're killing it in that game. Like our grooves must be so deep. And the one that's like you said before with the manager at the restaurant, like we're never like, dude, that was nice. That was great. You opened the door for that person. Great one. Like, so what I've been trying to do over the last year is like, I have a journal and I'm like literally writing in the journal, trying to deepen that groove because it's like completely habitual the way we think about ourselves, depending on what we've done. So, I mean, I work on that nonstop, trying to just be like, I like you.
I'm so happy you're journaling because what the journal ends up being is what Google can do, right? So Google actually knows what we've done over the last 10 years. They know every single thing we've done. So when they're trying to figure out what we're going to do next, they have the data.
Yeah.
We don't have the data, but your journal can be the data where you're like, oh, last time I went out on tour, let me just see how I felt 3 days before tour. Oh, I was scared. I think I suck. I'm this, I'm that. What I feel like on day 2 of tour. Oh, this is fun. It's so great to see everyone, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, let's just skip to day 2. We know it's coming because I have the proof. It always comes.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I just wish that my journal was as good as Matthew McConaughey's journal, to be honest, because I read his book and it's like, certainly during the process of reading his book, I started writing in my journal differently. Turning like any sort of simple situation into some sort of messier, dirtier, grittier, like just gross situation.
Yeah. I mean, he's a storyteller.
100%. That was weirdly good. I don't know why it was weirdly good, that book.
I think you and I share that I aspire to be as comfortable as he is in his own skin and seem to enjoy the exact situation he's in.
He does things that I would be really afraid to do, like go down the Amazon River on my own for 2 weeks. I would be very afraid to do that. And I think that's why he's so comfortable in his own skin. He does really gnarly things.
Yeah. Well, listen, if you're ever in Los Angeles, I'd love to take you out to do some gnarly things. You're invited anytime you'd like.
Thanks, man. I would love to come sand duning with you and have people comment about the richness on the photos. I think it'd be funny.
Well, then they'd be even more pissed to be like, must be nice to be friends with Shawn Mendes. It'd be I'm rich and friends with you. It'd be a double whammy.
You guys are awesome. Thank you so much. I know I messaged you like a long time ago.
I was so flattered. You really made my day. And then, yeah, we've been trying to get this going for a couple years, and I'm so happy that we're here. I really want people to listen to your new album, Wonder. I have it. I was with my daughters this morning preparing for Zoom school, eating breakfast, listening to all the new music. It's fantastic.
Thank you.
The documentary is absolutely fantastic. I really like it. And that, too, is called Wonder on Netflix. And is there anything else you would like us to put out there that we haven't yet?
No, it's so funny. Like, I think as a musician, like I'm always in the ringer of people promoting my album and my music and stuff. So I really was so excited to do this because it was not about that. I knew you were going to just be like talking about the condom in the soup in Michigan. So I'm really grateful.
If you need the address for that place, I'll forward it to you.
Thank you so much, guys. I appreciate you guys.
Yeah, I hope we get to talk to you again.
Yeah.
I can tell I like you a ton.
Thank
And we could see perfectly eye to eye. We're 6'2.5".
Nice. That's rare.
Let's obsess about our bodies together in my home gym.
I'd love that. We should film it and put it on Instagram.
All right, Shawn. Well, good luck with everything. I hope you enjoyed the end of quarantine, and I look forward to seeing you in person. I'd love to bring my daughters to come see you. That would be so fun.
Whenever you want. If we're
All
ever
right.
playing shows again. Take care, guys. Thank you.
All right.
Bye.
Be well.
Bye.
And now my favorite part of the show, the fact check with my soulmate, Monica Padman.
I'm dreaming of a white Christmas, just like the ones I used to know.
Jing jingle, jingle bells, jingle bells.
It's time.
It's time. Monty, it was just a matter of time that we were going to get in business with McDonald's on account of how often I talk about how much I love the Big Mac specifically with extra sauce and extra cheese. But we don't have the mission of moving any Big Macs. In fact, we're here to talk about the fact that in LA and around the country, McDonald's is proud to be a meaningful part of the community because, they're owners and operators. They don't just work in the communities, they live in them too. And that's why McDonald's supports their communities when they need them through food donations and serving hot meals to first responders who are working to provide aid after disasters or right now in our current pandemic. And we love spreading kindness and supporting others and helping our community. So I thought we could, in honor of celebrating community, each maybe share some holiday traditions from our own holiday community. How, out of 10, how hard did you guys go for Christmas in Georgia, you and the family?
We never went hard because I don't really know what that means. But very, very predictable.
Okay.
Whole fam every year at my parents' house.
That's grandma and grandpa.
And aunts.
Uh-huh.
Everyone comes around 1.
On Christmas Eve or Christmas Day?
Christmas Day. We didn't have any Christmas Eve traditions,
Oh.
except my brother and I started creating one. We would watch The Holiday on Christmas Eve.
Oh, fun.
Together. Yeah, we enjoyed that because first it was a joke because it was on once randomly and we were laughing at the way Jack Black said chocolate covered macaroons.
Uh-huh. You loved that.
Oh, we loved it. We laughed and laughed. And so then we made it a tradition and we watch it every Christmas Eve except not this year.
Maybe you guys go watch it virtually.
Maybe. He texted me and said and was bummed I wasn't coming home and I said me too.
Mm.
But it's the way it goes. This year's a little different, but that's okay.
Okay, so that sounds nice and warm and lovely. So this is what I would say going hard is.
Okay.
Which is what Laura LeBeau would do.
Okay.
So, oh my God, what a day this was. About 2 weeks out from Christmas, maybe 3, we'd get in the car, Carly, David, my mom, we'd drive to downtown Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
We'd go to Cobo Hall, and they had this huge indoor festival. They had all these weird rides, and then they had this thing. We spent most of our time at this area, which was styrofoam snowballs, and you'd try to throw them in the mouths of all these different characters.
Fun.
And then real ball fights would break out, so on and so forth. Then we would hop over to Hudson's back when Hudson's was still thriving. And when you walk through their little Christmas thing, you got to meet Santa Claus. It was all decorated. It was lovely. And inside of Hudson's was Saunders. Now, you know my love for Saunders.
Yeah.
So Saunders deals exclusively in sweets. And we would go and get a hot fudge ice cream puff.
Ooh.
I'm telling this out of order. We'd actually go after Cobo Hall to Lafayette, the best Coney dog in the city.
Yeah.
We'd eat our chili dogs. Then we'd go over to Hudson's. We'd walk through the fun little thing. And then we'd end at Saunders and we get a hot fudge ice cream puff, which is like this beautiful pastry they've just cooked, flaky pastry,
Yum.
stuffed full of vanilla ice cream, and then smothered in Saunders hot fudge.
Wow.
And that's just to get into the spirit of Christmas. That's weeks out.
Sure.
Now, Christmas Eve, because divorced parents, we'd start over at the Shepard's house. Aunt Juan and Uncle Jerry, they would host. All the Shepards would be there. We would rage. And then my dad would then drive us to Uncle Larry's house where we would be with the LeBeaus and we'd rage hard there. We would not get back to our house till probably 1 a.m.
Wow.
Then we wake up in the morning, do an elaborate Christmas morning, waffles, the whole 9 yards. My mom always put herself in debt buying really nice presents. And then we would get picked up and then we go to my dad's and have Christmas.
Oh. And did your mom go with you to your dad's?
Occasionally, my dad would sleep at our house on Christmas Eve so that he could be there for Christmas
For the
morning.
opening. That's nice.
When she was without husbands, that happened. But obviously, some of the stepdads didn't want my dad spending the night there.
Right. That is so fun. Yeah, is definitely a little bit more low key. The morning is cooking together.
Oh.
Not breakfast. No one eats breakfast on Christmas.
Okay.
Because the food's about to
Hit in a big
hit
way.
hard. Yeah. So we'll cook and then open presents. And then the rest of the fam comes. And then we have the Christmas feast. And normally lots of fun chitter chatter at the table.
Oh, I love it.
It's really fun. It's really, really fun.
Yeah, I love the day that there's literally the chore to do that day is to open some presents. What a
Oh my
great
God.
day.
And to give, I love having people open the presents I give them. See if they like it.
Yeah. I give worse presents than you, so it's not as fun for me. I generally get like 1 or 2 great presents, and the rest I don't do a great job. So
Well, that's all right.
yeah.
It's thought that counts.
And as I've gotten older, I don't really want anything. So to me, it's all about laying on that couch, fire going, and just lounging all day long.
It's so comfy and cozy.
I keep the shades closed so you get that pop of all the colorful lights in the house and the fire. I want it to kind of be nighttime all day during Christmas Day.
Oh, interesting.
Cozy, cozy, cozy family time. Now, we have partnered with McDonald's because McDonald's does a lot of great work with the Ronald McDonald House. So to celebrate our family traditions, we wanted to start a new one. So Armchair Expert has made a donation to the Ronald McDonald House charities this holiday season. Because like McDonald's, we believe in the power of celebrating community and the joy of giving to those in need. So I hope other people donate as well. It's a great, great organization. McDonald's serving here. Now,
I wouldn't mind getting some French fries on Christmas.
I would like a Big Mac with, you know how I order my Big Macs, extra sauce, extra cheese.
Yeah.
Wow, does that take it to the next level?
Maybe it could be Christmas Eve meal. It could be a new tradition.
Oh, yes.
That'd be fun.
Well, we'll all be together. Let's start that tradition.
I love it.
I regret not asking Shawn Mendes what he was going to do on Christmas Eve.
He's going to be soulful and attractive in Miami. With
He and his beautiful gal.
Beautiful gal, exactly.
They'll probably make love under a Christmas tree.
Wow. Wow.
Wow, what a thing to observe.
I'm just looking at my tree and seeing that would be quite hard.
Well, to be literally under it, it seems like it'd be impossible. But if you put out a huge red, felty, soft throw.
Santa hat type throw.
But that was huge, enough for 2 adults.
Okay.
And then you laid on that in front of the tree.
Oh, in front of. Okay.
Then you could do your sweet Christmas lovemaking in the shadow of the tree. That sounds cheerful and
Yeah,
joyful.
holiday joy.
Yeah.
Because under the tree, if you have a tree like mine starts low, real low. You'd get many prickles.
You sure would. Which might amplify the experience. You never know.
Oh.
That fine line.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Interesting.
Poke. Ow. A little bit of ow. Ooh.
And you never know what it's due to.
That's right.
Mixed messages.
Oh, God, we love our mixed messages.
I'm so glad we got to chat with him because, as you said, he's an armchair and also he's a humongous star
He is a humongous star.
and a lovely person.
My goodness. I don't know how he has the disposition to be asking himself these questions
At his
such
age,
a young age.
I know. This is why I have hope for the future.
Me too.
These young kids are thinking in ways we were not thinking.
No. And sadly, I think it's out of necessity because of the really epidemic levels of anxiety and stuff. I think they're kind of forced to confront this
Yeah, you're right.
or get taken out by it. And he's fighting like a motherfucker to not get taken out by it. It's impressive.
I know. Good for him. Good for him. And good for his hair. And good for his sultry, soft, sweet voice.
You're going to hate this.
Uh-oh. Go ahead.
Prepare. I did get worried that he's not going to have sex enough.
Why?
Well, just because he's so healthy, he probably won't be filling a hole in his body, in his soul, by just having sex with a lot of people.
That sounds like he's going to have sex the exact right amount then.
Probably.
Yeah,
Like the healthy amount.
I hope that's what he does.
Yeah, but I kind of want him to traipse around a little bit.
You want him to hurt people's feelings and
Well.
also get hurt. And that's not a good Christmas wish for him.
What about a multiple person situation? You want him to miss out on that?
Oh, no, he could have that. Well, he
and
could-
everyone, but they wouldn't. Their feelings wouldn't be hurt in that.
Well, if everyone's coming in knowingly.
Yeah, well, I the type of traipsing around I'm implying he do be with full honesty and everyone be excited and not hurt by it as well.
I think he's just going to have,
Some monogamy.
I don't know what he's going to have, but I think he's
know
going to
either.
just probably try to do it in a healthy way. And I hope he succeeds.
It might be easier for him because he's so fucking gorgeous that the thrill of getting the approval isn't as much as it would be for me.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, he said he's always liked himself. I really liked that he said that.
Me too. I guess maybe if you're not starting from a place of like, oh, I bet no one likes me, then maybe you don't have to go out and try to prove that they do. I don't know. It might be one of the advantages of being gorge.
I'm sure it's one of the many
Yeah.
advantages. I'm sure. But he's responsible with his gorgeousness. He's taking his life seriously.
Mm-hmm.
And I appreciate it.
Me too. Oh, I guess I know what I'm trying to get at. I didn't even know what I was getting at, but now I just realized what I was getting at.
Okay.
So he has the expressed goal of like living a real life.
Yeah.
That's something he wants to do. And I guess I'm nervous if he becomes self-actualized before he even has that experience. Can he get the experience he wants while being self-actualized?
Oh, that's interesting.
I guess that's what I was thinking when I was like, well,
Yeah. But that doesn't have to come via sex.
no, it's just preferred from my point of view.
Sure.
You know?
I see what you mean. You have to learn from mistakes, so you do have to have them.
Right, right. Well, maybe we'll talk to him when he's like 45 and we'll find out.
Let's check back in
Let's check back
20
in.
years. Shawn, put it on your cal.
Yeah, I'm going to have Rob put it in the armchair calendar, 2041. Let's give Shawn a call.
He's your child's favorite.
Oh my God, we have not stopped listening to I Know What You Did Last Summer. It's on every single morning now.
She loves it.
I like Mercy. Mercy, Mercy.
Is it on this new album?
No, you know it. I'm going to play it for you, okay?
Okay.
Hopefully he won't sue us since he
I
just
think
was
he
on the
likes
show.
us. Oh, I love this song. Yeah.
I didn't even know. I thought this was, God, what's his name?
Bieber?
No, the like English kind of.
Oh, Shawn, Sam Smith.
Yeah, Sam. I thought it was Sam Smith.
Wow. Yeah, this is a good song.
But I fall when I'm around you. Show me an open door, and you go and slam it on me. I can't take anymore. I'm saying, baby, please have mercy on me. Take it easy on my heart, even though you told me to hurt me.
Oh,
Good.
oh, it's so good. Yeah, you're right. Sam Smith. That's who I thought had sang that song until I went down
Who's
the
old Shawnee?
Mendes rabbit hole.
Lincoln has good taste in music.
Yeah, she does. I attribute that to her. And then also the fact that we never went down that road where we played bullshit kid music to them. Some parents will get these kid CDs and it's the most annoying music ever. And then they're just like held hostage by these terrible kid songs.
Sure.
And we were just like, that's not gonna be part of our life.
That makes, that seems like it
But
is working out.
People gifted them to us and I hid
tossed
those.
them.
Yeah, or donated them.
You tossed them.
I donated them to people who wanted to be held hostage by. I mean, Hall & Oates was their main education on music. That's what they heard the most when they were kids.
Oh, man, that's a good one.
It's a good entry drug.
Okay, so some people enjoy our quizzes.
Oh, tell me.
Well, I thought maybe we should take a quiz.
Oh,
since
great.
it came up. Which house we're in Hogwarts.
Oh, great. Yes, because I'm totally in the dark about how this works.
Yeah.
Like I never know if you're giving someone a compliment or burning them by saying you're in Muggleborth or you're in Scallions.
No. Hufflepuff
Hufflepuff.
and Slytherin are the two you're thinking.
Slytherin. And you seem to like people in Slytherin because you're in Slytherin?
No, I'm not in Slytherin.
Oh my gosh.
Slytherin is evil, but also not. So people are screaming right now because there are no good and bad houses. It's just characteristics.
Like people.
Exactly. But it's widely known Hufflepuff is
For dodos?
Dodos.
Okay.
And Slytherins are for evils. All the Dark Lords
Yeah.
came out of Slytherin.
Ooh, not a great track record for
No,
them.
but they're very smart, intelligent, and they have also beautiful people come out of Slytherin.
Oh,
And the big thing, Harry, so when he went to get his sword, so
Terrence
Terrence Posner, Gryffindor, Ravenclaw, Slytherin, Hufflepuff.
Ravenclaw's the one that when I've heard you tell people they're in Ravenclaw, what I say to myself is, Monica likes Ravenclaw the most.
Ravenclaw is the smarty pants.
Okay,
house.
so I was right.
Yeah, but I also love Gryffindor.
Yeah, but you like Raven Pants.
Don't call it that. So
Oh, sorry, Smarty Claws.
Gryffindor is the brave house.
Mm.
You want to be in Gryffindor, really.
Okay.
Mainly because Harry's in Gryffindor. But when he put on the sorting hat,
Mhm.
the sorting hat said, basically, this could go either way. Gryffindor or Slytherin.
Right.
And he said, I really want to be in Gryffindor. I can't be in Slytherin. Please no. And so it allowed him to go to Gryffindor.
And this is the age-old battle between the good force and the bad
That's
force.
right.
The dark force and the good force.
That's right.
I'm not saying that right. Dark force and the
Yeah.
from Star Wars?
Oh, I don't know anything about Star Wars.
Use the force.
Light
the dark
force?
side, the good side. I don't know. Yeah, some one's positive one, but it's the same force.
Okay.
But
yeah.
it can be good or bad.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
So let's take it.
Oh, great. We're getting some interference. I want to be in the house that solves problems. Because like there was some electrical interference just now,
Oh, right.
and I solved it,
Well, that's
and I
true.
feel so proud of myself. So I want to be in that house.
Okay. Well, that could be any of the houses, but probably Ravenclaw or maybe Gryffindor.
Or Slytherin. Not Dumbledore.
They don't really solve those kinds of problems.
Okay. They're not mechanically inclined per
Oh,
se.
thank God my login worked. My Pottermore.
Oh,
see?
you have a
See,
whole
look,
account?
Look, I have a passport because
Oh my
I got
God.
Gryffindor when I did this.
Oh.
Surprisingly, I did do it one other time and I got Ravenclaw, but on Pottermore I got Gryffindor, and when I put the hat on at the Warner Brothers studio, I got Gryffindor.
Oh, okay. I mean, from what you've told me about both houses, yeah, you're a shoe-in for either. But
I
you're
could also
brave and
have-
smart.
I probably have a lot of Slytherin in me too.
Mm,
I don't like.
don't
it.
we all?
We all do. Well, the Hufflepuffs really don't.
The Hufflepuffs.
I know they couldn't even give them. Like
I
a
know. They
good
didn't even
name.
mask it much that they're dum-dums
Wait, we all have
or
favorite.
bozos.
This is it. Okay,
Okay, here we go.
you ready?
Yeah. Are you going to be taking it simultaneously?
I can't.
Oh,
Like I have to
geez.
type it in.
I guess we're going every other one because you gave me the zip code test. I gave you the 5 personality test. Now
We
you're-
already know, as is my passport says, I'm Gryffindor.
You're Griffin. You're a brave.
What would you least like to be called? Ignorant, cowardly, selfish, ordinary.
Oh, boy. That's
I
it.
know.
Do you know which two I would hate to be called?
Cowardly and ignorant.
Cowardly and ordinary. But cowardly would be the number one burn for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
When you're dead, what do you want people to do when they think of you? Miss me and smile? Think of my achievements? Tell stories about my adventures? I don't care what people think of me when I'm dead. It's when I'm alive that counts.
Yeah, the last one.
When I'm dead, I want people to remember me as the good, the great, the wise, the bold.
The bold.
If you could make a potion that would guarantee you one thing, what would it be? Love, glory, wisdom, power.
Love.
4 goblets are placed before you. Which do you drink? The golden potion that gives off bright sunspots that dance around the room. A silvery, glittery potion that sparkles as if containing ground diamonds. A thick potion that smells of plums and chocolate. A black, inky potion that gives off fumes that make you see strange visions.
A golden stuff. Was that Pufflehuff?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I do kind of know, but
Mm.
I don't want to sway them.
Well, why don't you give me my score before you find the results? We'll see if you're.
Oh, at the end, you mean?
Yeah. Before
Got
you
it.
find out the official
Got it.
results, I want you to make a prediction.
Okay, sure. Which instrument is most pleasing to your ear?
Mm.
Violin, piano, drums, trumpet.
To toss up between piano and drums. Oh,
Most pleasing to your ear.
piano. Thank you. Thanks for putting me back on the right track.
Not the most fun to play.
But I just like beats. I like when I hear beats
Mm.
because then that makes me want to dance.
Was it drums?
Dance in your pants. No, piano. You're right. Pleasing.
You enter a magical garden. What do you look at first? Luminous pool with something in its depths. Statue with a twinkling eye. A silver tree with golden apples. talking toadstools?
Ooh,
It's hard.
it is, because I want to hear what the toadstools have to say.
Sure.
But I think I'm going straight to that tree. I want to see those golden apples.
Really? Okay.
I got really excited in my mind. I hate to admit this and bust myself, but every time you say, like, I'm going to walk into a thing and see, my immediate thought is like, what thing's going to be sexual? And I'm going to pick that one. Like, oh, I want an invisibility cloak.
Right.
Or I'm going to go into the thing, there's going to be like a nymph.
But why is golden apples?
It's not. There's never an option. But before you give me the list.
Well, no, some of the options
Are
you
sexy?
haven't picked any yet that I think are a little more carnal.
Like
Like the one that was like a black kind of
inky.
and then something was like lurking.
Ooh.
You didn't pick it though.
But that you think that's sexual?
I kind of do.
Oh, wow.
4 boxes are set before you. Which do you open? A plain jet black box with a silver rune that you know to be the mark of Merlin. A golden box with carved feet that warns secret knowledge and unbearable temptation lurk within. A plain pewter box that says, I open only for the worthy. A tortoise shell box that sounds like something living is squeaking inside.
Holy smokes. Could you just read me the first one again?
Of course. A plain jet black box with a silver rune that you know to be the mark of Merlin.
I think that one. What's a rune?
I'm going to say
Bow?
bow.
Oh, okay.
No, let me look because maybe that's important. A letter of an ancient Germanic alphabet. So just a symbol.
Yeah, I'm probably going with that one.
Okay.
I like a black box.
What smell is most appealing to you? Home, the sea, fresh parchment, a log fire.
A log fire.
A troll breaks into the headmaster's study. Order the following items in the order you would save them. Dragonpox cure that the headmaster has nearly completed. Student records going back 1,000 years. A book of indecipherable ruins thought to have been owned by Merlin. So you have to put those in order.
Okay. The kids are last. The grades. I don't care at all about the grades.
Okay, the records.
Yeah. And then the disease cure that's we're about to have. That's number 1, I'd say.
Okay, so you would do cure, then you do book of indecipherable ruins.
And then grades.
Okay. What would you rather be? Trusted, liked, praised, feared, envied, imitated?
Trusted.
Which of the following do you have the most trouble dealing with? Hunger, being ignored, cold, boredom, loneliness.
But being ignored and loneliness sounds very similar, right? I think being ignored, if I'm being honest.
Okay.
Yeah. Hate to admit it.
If you could have a superpower, which would you choose? Read minds, invisibility, change the past, change your appearance, talk to animals, super strength.
Oh, man. Wow. It's between super strength and invisibility. I'm going to go invisibility.
Okay.
Again, that's more to the perviness.
Right.
Yeah.
Sure.
What would you pick?
I pick read minds.
Oh, God. I don't know that would go the way you would think it would go.
I know exactly. I know that's a painful thing to want, but I do.
In AA, they say what other people think about you is none of your business.
Yeah.
Yeah. This just made me think of that. I'm
Yeah.
not saying you're right or wrong. It
but
just reminded me of that.
I think that's a good thing to strive to believe. Which of the following would you most like to study? Centaur, mer people, ghosts, werewolves, vampires, goblins. You love the word goblin.
I love the word goblin.
But would you want to study them? And then trolls is the last.
And these things are all real in this world?
Yeah.
Okay, because initially I'm like, I don't want to study something that's not real.
No, they're all real.
Werewolves.
Oh, okay.
They're pretty sexy.
Okay. Well, the mer people are sexy.
Are they? Are they oversexed?
Of course. They're sirens.
Oh, wow.
Mer people are
Still werewolves, but yeah.
All right. Which subject at Hogwarts would you be most interested in studying? I can help you if you don't know what some of these words are.
Okay, great. I didn't know what any of those words but werewolf and vampire were. Well, I know what
Mer
centaur.
people, you didn't know?
I didn't
you should have
know.
asked. That's
Okay.
a mermaid.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Like from a Herbal Essence commercial?
Mm-hmm. But these are sirens.
They call you to the rocks.
We were sirens actually in that commercial. 'Cause
Yeah.
there was some shipmen.
Sailors.
Yeah, sailors. Thank you. And we were luring them.
That's right, towards the rocks.
Yeah.
So they'll
To eat
smash their
them.
trip. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I don't want to fuck
And
with
to
them.
wash their hair with herbal essence.
Ooh.
Okay, which subject at Hogwarts would you be most interested in studying? Everything, apparition, that means going from one place to another, like,
Ooh, astro travel.
yeah.
Okay.
Hexes, jinxes,
No.
secrets about the castle,
Nope.
transfiguration, that's
What's
when
that?
you become an animal.
Ooh. Oh, shapeshifter.
Yeah.
Okay.
Broom flying,
Oh.
care of magical creatures.
Oh boy. Apparitions.
Okay.
I want to zip here and there because I have wanderlust.
You and your friends need to cross a bridge guarded by a river troll. He insists that one of you fight him before you can cross. What do you do? Confuse the troll, have all three of you fight without telling the troll, volunteer to fight, draw lots to see who fights.
Volunteer to fight.
Yeah.
Maybe even push some people out of the way so I could fight them.
Like push them over the bridge so that they don't
kill
get
the
to
other,
fight.
Yeah, I could kill the other
Yeah.
two people so that I could fight it.
Yeah.
And then revive them so they'd be impressed.
Yeah.
with me.
Yep. Unfortunately, that's not an option, but that is the truth. You know that a fellow house member cheated on a test. Ooh. You got the second highest grade in the class. Your housemate was the highest, and he cheated. Professor Flitwick confronts you and asks if they were cheating. What do you do? First, tell Professor Flitwick the truth. If your classmate is willing to come in first by cheating, he deserves to be found out. You'll make up the house points your classmates lost by coming in first. Tell Professor Flitwick to ask your classmate and tell your classmate that he won't tell the truth, you will. No, tell your classmate that if he won't tell the truth, you will. Lie and say you don't know, but hope he finds out somehow. If you knew someone was cheating, you wouldn't wait for Flitwick to ask you. Tell him before the test started.
Lie and hope he finds out.
Okay. Which path do you take? Twisting leafy path through the woods? A dark lantern-lit alley? A wide, sunny, grassy path? A cobblestone street lined with ancient buildings?
The first one leaves.
Which nightmare would scare you most? None of your friends or family know who you are?
Ooh, fuck.
Being trapped in a dark room with an eye peering at you through a keyhole? Being caught up high with no handholds? Being forced to speak in a funny voice so that everyone laughs at you?
A. Having the people in my life not know me.
You're walking down the street late at night and hear a cry that you're fairly sure has a magical source. What do you do? Withdraw into the shadows, reviewing offensive and defensive spells that might be appropriate. Draw your wand and try to discover the source. Proceed with caution, keeping a hand on your still concealed wand. Draw your wand and stand your ground.
Draw my wand and stand my ground. Wand's not a euphemism.
No.
Okay.
No. It's a real thing, and you do spells with it.
Okay.
A muggle approaches you and says you're a wizard. How do you react? A muggle is a non...
It's us.
Well, I'm not sure about me yet,
Okay.
but you, yeah. A muggle approaches, and you're not supposed to tell them. Like, you're supposed to keep it a secret.
That you're a wizard.
Yes.
Okay.
Ask them why they think so. Agree and offer a sample of a jinx. Agree and walk away bluffing. Express your concern and offer to call a mental hospital.
So a muggle accuses me of being a wizard.
Yeah.
And my options are,
Ask them why they think so.
okay,
Agree and offer a sample of a jinx. Agree and walk away bluffing.
why is that bluffing?
I guess you'd be like, yeah, I am. Like, make them look
Oh,
stupid, I
okay.
guess.
Okay.
Express your concern and offer to call a mental hospital.
I would bluff.
Okay.
I'd have a hard time with that one. I wouldn't lie.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I wouldn't lie.
No, you wouldn't lie, but I think you'd ask them why they think so.
Like the one I wish was the answer was I just say, yeah, I am. But then I don't do a trick for them. I wouldn't want to do a trick for them. That was the second option.
Yeah.
I don't want to then show off. That's why I go like,
But
yeah, I am who I
You're in a
am.
position where you're not, no, it's not like that. It's like, I equate it for this like when you were hiding drugs.
Oh.
Like you're
I equated
not-
it to like me being in AA, which is a lot of people are ashamed to be in AA or what.
No, it's not it's not like for you, it's a shameful thing. It's like it's bad for the wizarding world if muggles
in
know.
general.
Yeah.
Wow, so that's that really puts two of my values in opposition to one another, which is truthfulness and loyalty. I value both those things. Those are both characteristics I value. I bluff then. I feels like the best of both
Okay.
worlds. I didn't lie, and I said it in a manner that hopefully I'm not exposing my tribe.
If you could pick any house to be sorted into, which would you pick? Slytherin, Gryffindor, Hufflepuff, Ravenclaw. I'll let the sorting hat decide where I should be.
I don't want to be in Hufflepuff.
I know. I'm sorry. I put a stigma on it.
So I guess I'd say Gryffindor. Gryffindor.
All right. Let's see. I think you would be in Gryffindor. You got Gryffindor.
We'll be roommates.
You might belong to Gryffindor, where dwell the brave of heart. The daring nerve and chivalry set Gryffindors apart. Welcome to Gryffindor House, where bravery and chivalry are valued. You belong here because you have a lion's heart. You'll put your life on the line for anything, whether it be for a friend, an ally, or for the thrill of it. Very little stops you from having fun, but you have good morals when it comes down to it. You choose good over evil. Doesn't really sound like I'm a Gryffindor based on that, but
Why? What part?
I'm not daring. You know, I'm not brave in that sense.
Well, you have this. First of all, you're not in a position anatomically to be brave in the manner I am. That would just make you stupid.
Well, that's true.
So I would say you're fearless when talking to people, confronting people, arguing with people, standing up for people. You're fearless. Now, you also worry when you go jogging, someone's going to kidnap you. So
Yeah, I do.
I think you're mixing up a reality with your bravery. You shouldn't be getting into fistfights with full-grown men.
Okay.
You know,
Well, what about trolls?
are they big or small?
Huge.
Oh, geez. Okay, then definitely not.
Okay. Well, now we know Gryffindor.
I think if you had a superpower, you'd be fearless physically.
like if I had that disease where I had so much muscle.
Well, not that per se, but just a wand and you were good at it,
Oh.
and you had strong wizard powers.
Oh, I see.
I think he would be valiant.
Like a Hermione.
Oh yeah,
She's not strong physically, but she's a Gryffindor and she's brave.
and she's got some pretty serious powers.
Oh yeah, she's the best.
She can throw
she's
down?
the best wizard.
Oh, she's stronger than Terrence.
Wizarding wise, she's the best in the school.
Oh, you must have thought of yourself as her so
well, I
much.
wanted to be her. I've never been the best in my school. I wanted to be. The best in my school was a girl named Sophia. She was number one in our class of 500.
Ooh,
Red hair.
you like that or don't like that?
I love it.
Okay.
She was so smart and white. And
Why does the driven snow?
which is rare. We had a lot of Asians. The rest
Okay.
of the next top whatever are all Asians.
Oh yeah, good for her.
Mhm. And what I really liked about her, I mean, this is nothing to like nor dislike, but it was really practical. So she got into all the Ivy League schools, and she chose to go to Georgia Tech
Okay.
because she got they call it something specific there, but a full scholarship.
Albright scholarship?
No.
I don't even know what that means.
But something similar.
Okay.
It just means every single thing is paid for,
Oh wow.
including I think living, all
Your
of it.
chowder and your
Yeah.
MeUndies and
Yeah,
your
they
bombas.
provide me undies
And bombas. And you sleep on Brooklinens?
and a sleep number.
Holy fudge.
I know.
No wonder she picked that.
I know. It was hard to turn down.
Yeah, that's kind of cool. That's like Pat Tillman turning down more money to go to St. Louis.
I hope Sophia's doing great. Whatever she's doing, I hope she's happy and doing well.
Mm-hmm.
And she'll always be the Hermione
For you.
for me. Yeah.
Okay. You know what I always thought when I would see those movies? I would check in with them sporadically. I didn't watch them in order or whatever. I just thought Ron Weasley was so gorgeous at some point.
You loved
I
him.
couldn't
Yep.
believe how gorgeous he was. And also, Hermione stayed so cute.
Emma, I know.
This is like almost impossible to cast kids
I know.
and then follow them through puberty and they stay cute like that.
when the movies first came out, there was a little
A mix-up?
issue. There was a little issue some people had.
That Hermione was too hot.
Too cute. Because in the
Yeah.
books, she is written very clearly to be not attractive.
Okay, that's not what she's selling.
And that even as a kid, Emma Watson is so cute.
Yeah,
So cute, and turned into a gorgeous adult.
right.
But that's fine. I love Emma Watson.
This becomes a dilemma quite often in making movies. And it's talked about regularly. I've been a part of a lot of these conversations. And what it comes down to is, there's basically a market reality.
Yeah.
And then there's a authentic reality.
Yeah.
And they do have to sell tickets to pay for the movie. So it's not it's not like you can just go like, we're going to cast everyone. Well, no, people like movies are fantasies. People want to be a genius like Matt Damon and look like him.
Of course.
And that's just what the market said. That's why the superhero movies are so big. That's not representative of anyone. That's so unrealistic.
I know, but at least that's supposed to be unrealistic. They're literally superheroes. So I think it depends on the type of story you're telling. And I do think we are moving more towards more real looking people and stuff.
It's just a matter of whether you can have your cake and eat it too. Like, can you do it and have it work? And if it doesn't work, there's nothing much to talk about after that. If you cast someone no one wants to look at for 2 hours, then they can't just keep making movies with the person and losing $30 million a time.
Yeah. It's just there are people.
It's unfortunate.
There are people who are, in my opinion, physically not the standard of attractive that you end up wanting to watch for hours and hours and hours because there's something super compelling about their face, their acting, all of it.
For sure. And it's definitely a leeway given to men way more than women.
Yeah.
Like the margin of attractiveness, and that's in quotes, for women is so much more narrow than for men.
Yeah.
But then there's also very encouraging things. There's a lot of different shows led by not conventional. They wouldn't have been leads of TV shows in the 80s.
Exactly.
Females.
Yeah, I think we're moving forward.
Yeah.
A few people have responded that they liked Luke Duke.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
I'm glad people like Luke Duke. He was a great Duke boy. He's a good Duke boy. He was shorter as well.
Okay, but people liked him still.
Can I show you a picture of the two of them? You can tell me which one you would want to roll around with under your Christmas tree. Okay, here they are.
Let me get a good look.
Feel free to go back to look at other pictures if you need more data.
Okay.
Bo is just really cute.
You're going to think I'm lying. You're not going to believe it, but I'm just going to tell the truth. I like the
Luke
dark-haired person.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
That's great.
I mean, I like Bo's body profile from what I just
He has
saw.
gorgeous buns. I was so envious of his. He could fill out those Wranglers.
If I'm being honest, neither of them are doing it for me.
Okay, let me see. Yeah, they're very 80s. Yeah, but look at the playfulness of that smile. I think if you watched the show, you would have liked Bo.
Maybe.
He is just more playful, and Luke was more serious.
Got it. Wow. Just
wow, huh?
Just wow. Well, everyone can like who they like.
Yeah.
And I'm glad everyone likes different things.
As my father would say when he was in the car business, there's an ass for every seat.
That's right.
And I think that's a good thing to remind yourself of.
Agreed.
There's an asshole for every seat.
You guys can like Daisy Duke. You can like Bo Duke. You can like Luke Duke. But can I just, I hope you're not waving the Confederate flag.
No, you can like the Duke boys without embracing the Confederate flag.
Yeah. All right. Well, it's the end of the year.
End of the year, which is not to say we're over. We've got a spectacular Christmas episode coming your way on Christmas Eve.
We do, and we have our yearly best of on Monday. So there's a couple more things for you, but and Thursday we have a regular episode, but this is just our last Monday.
Our last Monday.
And we love you. We thank you for getting us through this year.
Yeah.
We really appreciate you.
Yeah, y'all saved our ass.
You know.
I think we'd be both in a very deep, dark depression without getting to do this
Agreed.
104 times this year.
Agreed.
Well, I love you. Happy New Year. I'm
Love
excited to
you.
start a Christmas tradition with you this year.
Mickey Donald.
Mackle Donald.